Welcome to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 292 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host Luke Millette, and here's your host Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Liz Hay-fer, and if you want to know the idea around what would happen to our world if we mandated a chiropractic adjustment, stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. This is episode 292, and I'm really excited today to interview Dr. Liz Hay-fer. And we've had this on the books a couple times, and today we actually made it stick. And we're going to just keep on delivering some truth about chiropractic and share some inspiration and hopefully help some people out. So, Dr. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so pumped to be here.
Yeah. And one of the things that we really love to ask our practitioners and to share is their story. I think that there's nothing more valuable in any instance, more valuable than your original story. And I always tell people, I don't care like what you possess, like things wise, houses, cars, belongings. The thing that makes people the most valuable in any instance is their story. So if you would please just share with our audience today your chiropractic story and what got you into this beautiful profession.
I would love to. So I grew up in Davenport, Iowa, like you, and I was a single mom. I got pregnant at 18, had my daughter at 19. So I had graduated high school. And when I was in high school, the dream for me was to go to Broadway and be a singer. And then, 6 months after I graduated, I got pregnant. So that wasn't going to work out. I wasn't going to be able to go to New York with a baby, make that work. And I really struggled because I didn't ever have any academic plans. I didn't struggle academically, but I certainly didn't have a dream to go to college. It wasn't something that was like celebrated in the family I grew up in. So I just worked part-time, full-time jobs at the mall and at every fast food restaurant in the Quad Cities that you could think of. And mainly I did that out of necessity because I was poor and I was hungry. So I worked at the mall full time, and then I worked at a fast food restaurant so that I would have food. And at one point, actually, during my pregnancy, I was homeless. And needless to say, I didn't have a very supportive family. And they basically said, you made your bed, you can lie in it. And I had to figure it out. And so when I was 20, I moved to California and quickly realized that working at Wells Fargo Bank part-time and working at the mall part-time wasn't going to be sustainable for my life, for my daughter, and for me to be able to afford myself. So I moved back to Iowa, and my friend's mom was the supervisor of the staff clinic at Palmer College of Chiropractic. Her name is Kim Hutchison. And she was like, you should just come work at Palmer part-time at night and just see if you want to, figure out what you want to do with your life. Like maybe go to college, maybe go to Scott Community College and figure out like what you want to do. So she slipped my application into the pile, and I got the interview and I got the job. So I was the front desk girl. In fact, people like Romnick Bogle and a doctor named Esther, who's been in practice for 20 years, and Mark Morningstar and Tim Joy, all those guys were students going through clinic, and now it's been 20 years. When I was just sitting there working part-time at the front desk, helping them check their student patients in, right? So I got promoted to Mod 1 scheduling. I called it the Butt Hut because there I pulled the files and I communicated with the doctors. And the whole time, truthfully, I struggled with depression and suicidal ideology. And I really had a tough time like making my job work. And it wasn't like a hard job. It was just showing up every day. I was really having a hard time. But Kim rallied for me, and she believed in me, and she saw what I couldn't see in myself. And she kind of protected me from losing my job because I could have been fired at numerous different times. And like, how sad is that to get fired from a part-time job at Palmer, right? So the more I was around chiropractors and chiropractic at the school and the passion that even the janitors possess, I was like, there's something to this. And I learned about the Chiropractic Technology program. And I was like, you know what? I could do that. I could help a good doctor run their practice, and I could help them grow and scale and all the things. And halfway through that program, I realized, oh my goodness, I want to know more. I want to know why. I want to know how. I don't want to be somebody's, assistant the rest of my life. So one class at a time, one program at a time, I ended up entering into the Doctor of Chiropractic program. So I got my chiropractic technology degree. I got my Bachelor of Science degree, and I entered into the DC program in November of 2004. So I started that, and one quiz at a time, one class at a time, passed my classes. And it was a year before I was set to graduate, and I was spiraling back into this really deep depression, like overwhelmingly intrusive problem. And it was hard for me to get out of bed, and it was hard for me to like really believe that chiropractic was going to be something that I could do for the rest of my life, because it hadn't helped me. It had helped me enough to get off medication, because when you're diagnosed with all these different mental illnesses, they put you on medication, and obviously that doesn't work. So I had gotten off all the medication with the traditional chiropractic care at Palmer, and I was thankful, but I had regular care. And guess what? Because I was a student and because I worked there, the care was free. So I could afford it. And then when I was in 8th trimester, my best friend, Jackie Dukes, who's now Jackie Newhouse, told me, you need to try Blair upper cervical correction. And I was like, whatever, one bone, how in the heck could that make a difference, right? Like the Atlas. Oh, okay. I used to make fun of upper cervical doctors. I would make fun of them like, okay, yeah, get adjusted and hold your adjustment, right? And the truth is I had nothing to lose. So I submitted myself to the student clinic. Dr. Todd Hubbard helped do the analysis. And Dr. Kevin Leach, who's a NUCA practitioner out in Washington, actually gave me my first Blair correction on October 27, 2007, and it healed my mind instantly. I had hope for the first time in my life. I could see the colors brighter in the room and the sounds were clearer. And in that instance, I knew that I had to spend the rest of my life doing that thing, because it was so profound, because I had been so distraught. I had been in and out of psych wards. I had tried to kill myself. The thing that kept me going was my daughter. I didn't want to leave her. And I knew that there was something that could be done. I just didn't know what. And I kept searching. So I got enrolled in the elective, and within one trimester, I was like setting records for bringing the most new patients into the clinic as a student. And I actually think that record still stands. I brought 27 people into the clinic in one trimester.
So powerful. And our good friend Tara Hogan, she's also from the Quad Cities. She says,
wow, I see that. That is so cool. I need to meet your sister. I don't know. Like, that's a rad story.
Yeah. And it's the power of the adjustment. And you're talking about the janitors.
Yeah.
And, the first chiropractic miracle story that most of us know about was a janitor. Yeah. And there's power in people, and it doesn't matter the distinction, whether you're a fast food worker or whether you're a mom that's single, that's just trying to make it. The power of the adjustment can change a life.
It literally did. And so because my life was given back to me, I knew that it was a mandate on my life to give back to all the people that I had the opportunity to serve. So I haven't stopped. Like, I'm more passionate today than I was 14 years ago when I had my upper cervical correction. And I've had the opportunity to touch thousands of lives and teach hundreds of doctors and inspire hundreds of students in this amount of time. And it's like what BJ Palmer says, you never know how, far something can go when you're thinking, so it's like, it's incredible what chiropractic has done for me. It literally saved my life. So I'm so proud and pumped to be a part of this amazing profession.
So fast forward us, what are you doing now? And what's making you unique in this chiro space?
So now I'm running an incredible clinic in Orange County, California called Well Connected Chiropractic. And I'm a Blair doctor. And I have an associate that we just started. She did an internship with me in January, and I hired her in April. And, California is one of the toughest states to practice chiropractic in right now, as far as the control from the government and all the different rules and things in this little world of COVID. but we've done nothing but expand and grow because we deliver the goods. We provide service that people are willing to pay for. And I was so busy, I obviously needed to have an associate. And now we're to the point where we need to probably break our lease and buy a building because we need more space. And it's incredible. I just literally flew in from the Blair convention this morning. I was in Dallas from Thursday till today for the annual Blair convention. And it was the biggest conference we've ever had. We had, I think, 150 people there. And there was 28 students. There were 10 vendors. Like, it was a really amazing weekend. And I have a cone beam CT in my office. So I have digital x-ray and I have an advanced imaging machine. So I'm able to take the most advanced images on my patients and get the best results. And I gave an entire hour-long presentation about some really cool case studies of people that I've had in my office, where we did a digital x-ray and then we did a cone beam CT. And if you don't see it, you can't fix it. And it shows the difference in advanced imaging. So that's one of the things that sets me apart, is that I have this incredible technology. I'm also really involved in the politics in California. I'm the HOD chair for the California Chiropractic Association. And if everything goes right, this coming November, I'll be voted into incoming president. So in 2023, I will be the president of the California Chiropractic Association, and I've been serving in that organization since 2011. So I moved to California. I should say I moved back to California in 2008 as an intern, and I did a preceptorship, and then I was an associate, and then I opened my practice. And that whole time I had been serving CalChiro locally and then at the state level. And so, I am 100% committed to protecting chiropractic and chiropractors. So whatever it is that I can do to be in the room, it's kind of like, the musical Hamilton. You got to be in the room when it happens. I'm going to be in the room and having the conversations and making friends on the other side of the aisle and unifying our profession. That's
Amen.
what I want to do.
Amen.
So what would be the biggest piece of advice you'd give another practitioner who wants more new patients in their office?
On what we're doing now, telling your story and being authentic, because you can be the brightest person. And I'm not the valedictorian. I never was. I never will be. In fact, right now I'm in a D.C.C.J.P program. I am best friends with the person who's going to be our valedictorian. So I surround myself with the brightest and the best. But telling your story and being authentic and having people understand your passion and your why, that's going to get people to come see you. When I was a student intern doing my preceptorship, I met people just doing my nails at the salon. And I was like, do you know about this? This saved my life. And if you know anybody that's got this or this or this, we can help. And I never get sick of talking about it. So, just tell the story about how incredible chiropractic is, and you will not have a shortage of people to see.
Yeah, I truly believe that the backside of that is chiropractors have to be proud to be chiropractors. Mm-hmm. And they have to be very enthusiastic to have the distinction to do so.
Absolutely. And in our profession, there are people that it seems as if they're hostile towards chiropractic. It seems as if they don't enjoy doing it. And I personally have experienced, like my daughter, she's in school, and it seems like every year she graduates from a grade, the teacher then retires. And every teacher that we've experienced that have been awful, they should have retired 5 years ago because they weren't having fun anymore and they weren't inspired by the work they were doing. And if you don't love what you're doing and you don't love chiropractic, then don't do it. Go do something else that makes you have joy. We were talking about it this weekend. You got to Marie Kondo your life, because if it doesn't bring you joy, there's no sense in participating in it.
Yeah, that's just it. Is sometimes it's a calling, and sometimes people do it because they see that it's the right thing for that time in their life. And this other thing too is it's okay to go do something else. It absolutely is okay to become a chiropractor and say, you know what, this wasn't for me. It's simply okay for people to choose for themselves.
And that's a great thing. There's an incredible doctor named Darren White, who is actually the benefactor of the scholarship that I received to do the D.C.C.J.P program. And he was a chiropractor for many years in Washington, and he had phenomenally successful clinics. He trained tons of associates, and he went on to start a company called Aduro. And it's like a company that'll go into corporate America and give them health resources to help their employees be healthier. So he created this entire company with the premise that he wanted chiropractic to be in the conversation. And he is helping transform corporate America with his, metrics and helping them save money on their health insurance and things like that from the lens of chiropractic. And he's changing our profession on that level. And he said, like, I could be over a table, but I could make this impact. And he's just as proud of being a chiropractor, but doing it in a different way. Like, and there's some chiropractors that are phenomenal instructors and administrators. So there's something for everyone, for sure.
Can I tell you how many times people ask me why I don't become a chiropractor?
I'm sure it's a lot.
It's the most popular thing for people to ask me, to say, why don't you just go do that thing? And I go, well, I'm making a bigger impact doing the screenings that I do, the promotions that I do, the support of the profession that's unprecedented.
Right.
Like when I take myself away from that, think of the whole that would be caused.
Right.
So I think that we all have our sole genius of what we should be doing. And sometimes people should be in administrative roles. Sometimes people should go for presidency of these chiropractic schools. You know, sometimes we do need better leadership. So whatever the role is, if you're going to teach chiropractors to have better outcome analysis, then do that thing.
Amen. I agree with you, brother.
Yeah, Jim became a doctor, and no podcasts, no documentaries, no training courses, no screening events.
Yeah, it would be a lot more difficult for sure, because chiros takes time.
So you're doing a great job keeping your community healthy and taking care of them, but a lot of times doctors forget to take care of themselves. So what are some things that you're doing for your own health and your mental health?
That's a really great question. And I am, guilty as charged. Like, for the longest, especially opening up a clinic and then having COVID happen, it was like survival mode. And I definitely didn't have healthy boundaries for myself, but I hired a coach and I started resetting my mindset. And I'm starting to understand, like, and it's true, I've heard this my whole life, but I'm really understanding it now. If you don't take care of yourself and love yourself, how in the world are you going to do that for anyone else? How could I possibly set an example and tell people, after your adjustment, you take it easy for 2 days, but I burn the candles at both ends, right? So right now I'm just working on personally, just changing my mindset and understanding that my thinking creates my reality. And, that it's okay to take a day off. It's okay to have a vacation. It's okay to come home and like set my cell phone down. Everybody will be waiting for me tomorrow. And I want to give that lesson to my kids. And sadly, they've, my oldest daughter, who's 22 now, who made me a grandma in May, she went through chiro school with me. And I remember she was like 5 or 6 and she was diagramming the brachial plexus better than I was, because she was like the best little artist. And all my friends loved Lauren. And actually, she's the reason why I even had a social life, because she was super cute and she was fun and she would come to school with me. And so everybody's like, oh my gosh, your daughter's so cute. And she's 22 now. And she's always like, Mom, you need to rest. You always preach to me, blah, 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 blah. So like, I say the things, but then I actually have to apply them for myself. So I'm doing that now. Like this fall, I'm definitely setting some healthier boundaries with rest, restore, and relaxation, and learning how to do Sabbath, because it's so important.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle. Yeah, it's cool to hear we're not all perfect. And,
no, not at all.
My Q4 target is no more sugar and no fried food. So I'll even be in a different transition state. And I think that people just need to look at that. It's, when you find out what something is like causing the problem, the reductionary model really works for people too. And it teaches them self-resistance, and it teaches them the ability to go out there and to take care of themselves. And like you said, if mom ain't happy, guess what? Ain't nobody happy.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
So what are some of your favorite ways to stay connected with your local community?
Well, being involved in the different groups that I'm in. So I stay connected to my chiro community by being involved in CalChiro locally. And even during COVID, we stayed connected, chatting, texting, doing virtual events. I talk to my chiropractic friends pretty much every day here in Orange County. just kind of keeping each other abreast of what's happening and how we can band together to support our profession locally. With my friends, I'm super intentional about still maintaining time to go and do fun things. And I'm definitely the life of the party, and I like to gather. So we're always connecting. I was just talking with my neighbor this morning. We're going to take the kids out to Paris, California, and do the Polar Express. And like our entire neighborhood's going to go. So we're going to like fill the whole train, and it's going to be like our own private party. It's going to be so much fun. So just being intentional about setting time. And I'm really involved in church in my area. I've been in part of my the Bridge in Rancho Santa Margarita for 11 years, and I think I take care of most of the church body. So just, being involved in the ministry and the things that inspire me in that regard, and then they get to see me in the office doing my thing professionally. That's a constant connection. So.
Yeah, I think, what you just said really matters, as people do need to plug into their community, and they also need to give energy back to the community once they get plugged in.
Yeah.
And sometimes people show up and it's a one-sided event. And I think that, we can learn from each other. That's the beautiful thing. And you learn from the people that you take care of, and they become your community. Mm-hmm. And it's not just marketing. It's like you said earlier, one of the first things you said, delivering the goods. And when you deliver the goods, it's not just chiropractic, it is marketing too.
Yeah.
And those people get it and they feel good. And
yeah.
The people around there, I'm like, what did you do different?
Yeah. And that's the thing. People come and they say, I've seen 5 other chiropractors. Why are you different? I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I just say, God's got an anointing on me and this is what I'm supposed to do. He healed me to help heal. Like, that's a thing. And, I always tell them that they're my little marketers. Their spine and their health is my reputation. So I want it right. I want them to feel good. And I don't want them to be in my office hurting every other day. I want them out feeling fantastic, telling everybody. And that's exactly what happens. They're like, this girl got my head on straight and I don't have to be there all the time. And I feel great. So my cousin and her brother and their nephew, they're all going to be a patient of hers because it's effective.
So where do you see chiropractic heading in the next 20 years or so?
Well, if I have anything to say about it, it's going to be the most incredible thing on the planet, and it'll be the choice for healthcare. And I think it's time, and we're in a position that we are going to be the leaders in the truth, right? And we say it all the time. It's no better time to be a chiropractor than currently right now. And we just saw that this weekend with the protests for Southwest Airlines, which, by the way, I got caught up in. Like, my staff didn't get to go home on their original flight. And people are saying no to agendas, and they're standing up and they're saying, wait a second, do I not have autonomy over my body? And so if we give people another option and we say, hey, you've been told this, but here's this. What do you want to do? And we show up and help them and love them. We're gonna change an entire generation. And I feel like chiropractic is going to be the forefront of that because we've always had that sacred trust.
Mm. I just want to reel back a little bit, and when you talk about where it's going, is what it is, the distinction of it, and the distinction of it is it got pulled into this healthcare model that is starting to crumble down around us, and we're seeing it. Like, imagine if we forced everybody to go get a chiropractic adjustment and we mandated it.
No, I talk about that all the time. And I said, would you like it if I told you every Tuesday at 4:30, you had to be here the way you liked it or not, and you had to pay for it? And it doesn't matter if there's any consequences from my adjustment. It doesn't matter. There's no liability. They're like, what? And I'm like, what if I told you had to eat avocados every Friday at 4 and you're allergic to avocados? Like, that doesn't even make sense. So when I put it in like terms like that, then they're like, oh, that's interesting. But
we should.
I believe in autonomy, and I believe people should make choices. But if you give them healthy choices to evaluate, they're going to choose health.
And if we really want to flip it on top of itself, like, all right, we'll believe in the mandate stuff, but we're going to mandate everybody for the next 6 months go get chiropractic care, and then we'll see how the human race turns out.
Yeah.
And here's the other part of that is we would always make distinctions of calling it, like I said, health care, but chiropractic is care of health. I've talked about this time and time again. It's a care of health system. It's not a healthcare system. It has not been bought and sold like the terminology healthcare. The terminology of healthcare is insurance care. The terminology of healthcare is not self-preservation care. It's triage care. It's emergency medicine care. And that's what they do so damn well. And it's not pharmaceutical care is not healthcare.
Right.
It's chemical care.
Right. And there's a distinction with everything you just said, and everybody has their lane and everybody has their time and their place. And chiropractic certainly has a time and a place. And we absolutely need to be the foundation of the conversation, not the alternative.
Mandate chiropractic.
Let's do it.
So, as you've been on this journey to be where you are today, who have been some of your biggest heroes or inspirations? And if you could have dinner with one person from history, who would it be?
I know, I was looking at that question and thinking, gosh, there's so many people, right? Like Jesus was the first person that came to my mind, but I talk to him every day, so I'm like, that's cool. And I would love to be with him like in person, but the Holy Spirit's with me all the time. I think that the thing that the people that inspire me the most are the patients that come through my doors that have found me and have committed to changing their lives and trust me with the work that they do. And having the honor of holding their neck and their head in my hands and being able to lay my hands on them, do an upper cervical correction and change their life. Gosh, that's like the most sacred thing on the planet for me, and as far as like somebody from history, I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about where we are with mandates and segregation and all of this thought of like, you're dirty or unclean if you do this or if you do that. And there's, opinions on both sides. So I was thinking Abraham Lincoln would be somebody who I would want to sit down and talk to because he changed a nation without cell phones, without the internet, without like the ability to turn on a television, and he was pretty rad. So much so that he got killed, right? Like he was a martyr, and he believed in the sanctity of human life. And he believed that we were created equal and that nobody is better than anybody based on anything. So I would like to pick his brain and just figure out what kind of resolve he had to actually make that happen and how he had the mental fortitude to withstand the pressures of that day. And thank God he did it, right?
Well, obviously he had to be fearless.
Right.
And he's a good old Midwestern guy too.
Yes.
And just to know that back then there had to be a leader. There had to be a fallible leader.
Right.
And somebody that would admit that if they misstepped or did something wrong. And today, we do a lot of things in the political arena that sometimes don't get recognized or don't get repaired. And if you do misstep, we're all human. We're all fallible. Exactly. We all do make mistakes. And sometimes some people's causes are so righteous that they get killed for it.
Yeah. And, back what you just said is so important to realize that nobody's perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but take responsibility for what you've said and what you've done. And the conversations and the difficult conversations that I've had to have in my life where I've had to acknowledge the thing that I did that was wrong and take responsibility for it. So much health and healing has come from that, and deeper relationships are formed and healthier relationships are formed because I wasn't too proud to say I screwed up big time. Please forgive me. And I could see how I hurt you. And I don't see that happening, on the TV. I don't really watch TV, but if I catch something, I'm like, wow, okay.
The world watches TV.
Yeah, right. So accountability and truth would be really important.
So as we start to wrap up this episode together, maybe you could tell us the most profound healing case that you've had in your office, or a miracle story, if you will.
Sure. I've got hundreds of those, but I was just thinking about this little girl. Her name is Charlotte, and she is the sweetest young girl, the little sister of all these boys, and her parents are super committed to their family having great health care. And I met them because their chiropractor, who was a friend of mine through CalChiro, moved away. She moved out of California, and she referred that family to me. And they drive 45 minutes one direction to see me down the 405 freeway, and that is no small task in Orange County. And this little girl has really awful, internal physical anxiety, and she breaks out with a rash around her face that is like so awful. She blisters and it's uncomfortable, and she just can't concentrate in school because she literally says she doesn't feel comfortable in her own body. And we gave her an upper cervical correction and it all disappeared like overnight. Like all of the lotions and potions and medication and dermatologists that she had seen had done nothing for this skin issue. We gave her an upper cervical correction. Overnight, her skin healed. And she said to her mom, I feel like I can be inside my body now. And with the having to wear masks, it's almost like a little test. I won't have her tell me what's going on. And if she's out of alignment, I'll be like, okay, Charlotte, I can tell you're out. Let me see your face. And sure enough, the ring of, irritation will be back around her face. We give her an adjustment, it disappears. So now I'm like, show me how clear your face is, because she holds way better now. And she's so proud to be able to show off her face and her skin and not having it be irritated. And most people don't think to come to a chiropractor for skin problems, but she proves that that's absolutely a thing. And I'm just so excited to be a part of her and her family's life, because they are true believers in chiropractic and they get it and they commit to it with their time, their treasure, and their referrals.
Well, the big thing you said there is the first chiropractor, D.D. Palmer, he never created chiropractic for pain.
Right.
And that's what it's been marketed to the world since I've been around.
Right.
I've been around for 43 years and I didn't know everything, and I still don't know everything, but I do know that since I've been in existence, that chiropractic has always been marketed towards a pain solution.
Yeah.
And Didi, he never thought about how to market this. He's like Abraham Lincoln. Okay. Like he did all this before cell phones and technology too. And he did all this with the restoration of the nervous system and the tone of the body.
Exactly.
And that's what you're doing, is you're restoring tone back into this little girl's body. Yep. That's actually able to send the signaling the way that it's supposed to, unencumbered by whatever subluxation that the body is experiencing, and allows the body to go back to balance. And whether you want to use a big medical term like homeostasis, or whether you want to use a normal person's term like healing, the healing happens when the body has no obstructions. Yep. And that's what you're talking about, is little Charlotte's getting adjusted, removing that subluxation, and allowing the body to reconnect to itself the way it's supposed to. And then it rewires and fires. Yeah. It's beautiful, right?
It is. And so, I mean, she's one of thousands of people, right? Like, I'm never short of awe-inspiring stories about the lives that we touch. And it's so funny. In the work that I do, I almost get more frustrated with the people who don't get the instantaneous results, because there's limitations to matter, right? One of the 33 principles, all processes take time, and limitations to matter. And so sometimes there's stuff that is not overcomable by adjustment or a subluxation removed. So I have a lot of great people that I work with, co-treat with, and I have a really awesome network of medical doctors and physical therapists and acupuncturists in Orange County that we work together to help these people. And so it's good to have a good network of strategic partners, we call them, because they have an entire subset of population that I probably would never meet because I'm busy working in my office, but they refer them in and then we collaborate together. So that's another way, back to that original question, how do you build a practice? Make some great connections with professionals in your area, educate them on what you do, and then they'll send their people to you, and then they'll be the hero and you'll be the hero. It's pretty cool.
Awesome stuff. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode. So if you want to kind of wrap it up by letting us know, what websites can people go to learn more about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you. So again, I am the owner and founder of Well Connected Chiropractic, and it's wellconnectedchiro.com. I do have a podcast myself. It's called Get Your Head On Straight. And I do all kinds of fun interviews with my patients and with professionals about chiropractic and Blair, and getting your head on straight about all the different things in the world. So it's really fun. And if you want to be on my podcast, I'd love to talk to anyone about their success in chiropractic and just keep spreading the message. So thanks for the opportunity to let me come on the show today and talk the tick and get people pumped up and inspired about the future, because it's bright.
Well, we just want to send you a big acknowledgement for making time for us and being episode 292 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And I know that you're going to help so many people out there. I go to all these conferences, Liz, and what happens is people say, man, the one interview that you did with that one person, I'm so happy that you did that because it spoke to me. So I know that your episode is going to speak to a few people too. So I
appreciate that.
I'm thankful for your time and your talents and your ability to be able to, share your story, because that is what makes you truly valuable.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys too.
Thank you for being our guest today, and we just want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.